A big event for markets next week, Reddit's initial public offering. A company eyeing a valuation above $6 billion, but the social media platform still isn't profitable. Joining us now is Crunchbase News Senior Data Editor, Teare. Janae, it is good to see you. I'm just interested, Janae, what do you think the reception Reddit is going to be? Because it's an interesting name. Janae, I don't actually know what the comp would be for a name like this. Maybe you do. And you've got a company, it's been around a long time, Janae, but it's still posting losses, right? Net loss of around $90 million in 2023. How do you think, if you were to take a bet here, investors respond?
Yeah, I think the signals here have been very mixed. I think some people feel like this is a little rich as a valuation. You know, they're targeting, I think, on the upper end, about 6.4 billion. And others are saying if this is a company that can still grow 18 years in, then it might not be so rich. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Its revenues were around 804 million last year, and it did grow that 21%. So if it can keep growing its revenues, then there is potential in the stock. But I think a lot of that revenue growth is more recent, and so I think there's a lot of doubt around whether this is a little rich. We have heard reporting that on the secondary markets, there is some purchasing around the $5 billion mark. So yes, it's a big IPO. It should be north of 5 billion. Whether 6.4 billion is a little rich, we'll wait and see.
Well, and Janae, sort of to Josh's point, and to drill down a little bit, what do you compare it to, right? Do you compare it to publicly traded social media companies, or should people be thinking about it differently? I mean, how are the bankers thinking about it and valuing it? What are they comparing it to?
Yeah, I think it definitely is in the social media space or the attention economy. And I think there are a lot of companies old who've been around for a very, very long time and have huge audiences. And I would put Meta in that space, X in that space, YouTube. And then there's a lot of newer companies who've come out, the Pinterest, the Snaps. TikTok is obviously a big one. Discord, both TikTok and Discord are not public yet. So I think there are a lot of companies going after users contributing, users' attention. And then we also have the new AI space where a lot of companies might be moving away from search and more into using these new AI tools. So I think a lot of competition around this sort of social media space. I think most people are comparing it a little bit to Pinterest and to Snap, but I think in some ways Reddit is quite unique. And I think, you know, we've seen companies gather a lot of attention or gain a lot of attention in the social media space, and then flame out and not quite kind of meet that growth potential. Facebook took out a lot of its competitors. So I think in some ways, the fact that it is still around 18 years on says something about the fact that this site offers something quite unique. It has all these subreddits, more than 100,000 neighborhoods, they call it, or areas of communication. If you have a very niche interest or something very specific, you can go find it on Reddit. Some of the communities are in the tens of millions, some in the millions, some smaller. So I think the fact that it's 18 years in, has 73 million daily active users, means this company has been around a long time, but it has legs, and maybe there's opportunity for it to grow in 2024.
How much of a test do you think Reddit is for the broader IPO market? I mean, if they made a debut and it doesn't go well, what kind of impact do you think that has?
I think it definitely does have an impact. These very high-profile brands that go out and how well or how poorly they do, the whole market is watching. And we had that with Instacart. We've seen Instacart went out towards the end of last year. It's kind of been flat as a stock, so it hasn't performed brilliantly. And I think that has put a bit of a damper on companies looking to go out this year. What we're hearing from analysts is a lot of people are filing. There are a lot of companies with significant revenue who've got their balance sheets in shape, who do want to go out, but they don't feel that they have to rush it. And maybe they're looking towards the end of 2024, but we're more hearing about 2025 as the window for companies going out. If Reddit does very, very well, I think that shifts the landscape a little bit.
Interesting. And I should mention there's a disclosure that apparently the company just came out with. So I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it says that the Federal Trade Commission is looking into Reddit's licensing of user data to AI companies. And that's something that, you know, we're seeing happen, request to publicly traded companies. This is an issue, obviously, that people are paying a lot of attention to right now. What do you think the risk is that something like that would hurt the sentiment around the Reddit filing?
Yeah, I think that definitely could, because Reddit going forward is looking at AI, it sees as a completely new revenue stream. And if that were put in doubt, I think that would impact the stock quite significantly. You know, that deal was only signed in January of this year. And that revenue, I think with Google, it's 60 million a year, each year for 3 years. And so that is a new revenue stream coming in, and it's looking to monetize more broadly with other platforms. No one has as deep pockets as Google, but certainly there are these other platforms that could pay for licensing. So it sees that as a whole new revenue opportunity. And in some way, these, you know, it has 1 billion posts, even more comments. And so the fact that it's been able to build this trove of data over time that has this very, very active community that keeps building puts it in a great position for some of these AI training models. And if that were put in doubt, that would definitely impact the company's outlook.
Yeah, really good point. We'll keep watching that story as it unfolds and we head towards the IPO next week. Teare, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.